Even though case numbers and deaths have plateaued, they are still ticking up. But this week, zoos, museums, and amusement and water parks in Ohio could reopen under specific guidelines. And summertime is prime time for many of those venues. But the months of shutdown and the limits on operations, plus safety concerns from consumers, are all having a big impact on communities that rely on tourism dollars. Statehouse correspondent Jo Ingles has more.
The roller coasters at Cedar Point are operating now, but the park is opening a month and a half late, and it's operating on a limited basis due to mandated distance spacing and limits on attendance. The same is true with the indoor water park down the street, Kalahari, which opened this week. Last May, Kalahari brought in more than $660,000 in lodging tax alone. This year, that number was zero. And Kalahari generated nearly $2.5 million in sales tax last May, but none this May.
It's interesting that so many people, about 11 million, come here every year to go to Kalahari Resorts, Cedar Point, Castaway Bay, Great Wolf Lodge, the Sandusky Speedway, and Kelly's Island, Put-in Bay. I mean, we just have just a ton of things to do. We're really lucky.
But Erie County officials are not so lucky when those attractions are shut down. Erie County Commissioner Matt Old says he's anticipating a 20% reduction in sales tax.
We think, this year it's probably going to be a total of around $5 million to just Erie County's general fund. That's not to talk to the whole economic impact throughout the whole region, which would be substantially larger.
We're dealing with vendors. We're dealing with, opportunities for, sales to occur. And there's that, the ripple effect that happens from there out. You have one event, but, you're looking at hotels, you're looking at, convenience stores, supply stores, stuff like that. And it all makes an impact on the communities. And, the Kalahari case up in Erie County, that was one of the major employers throughout the whole region.
The day after the lawsuit was filed, the state announced the dates and conditions for those venues to open, and a judge ruled that could happen immediately. But with deliberately lowered attendance and lingering concerns about coronavirus, Erie County's leaders worried that will mean gaping holes in the county and Sandusky city budgets that they will have to fill later. The story is similar in Mason, in Warren County, home to Kings Island, which is also owned by Cedar Fair, the owner of Cedar Point. That area is also expecting millions of tax revenue losses. But even in areas where tourism isn't the major driver for the economy, like Columbus, local leaders still expect to take a hit. But they say the cost of public health needs to be considered too.
The city of Columbus has an open Berliner Park, which is a major revenue source for the city of Columbus. That being said, packing all of those families into a place like Berliner Park to have a big softball tournament maybe isn't the greatest idea right now.
Commissioner John O'Grady says Franklin County is also losing money from college and high school sports. The county has received some federal dollars and has a reserve, so it hasn't had to lay off employees. But he says events like the Memorial Tournament next month and Ohio State football games have been scaled back, which will have a financial impact. And last month, the Ohio State Fair, which brings in nearly 1 million visitors to Columbus for nearly 2 weeks every summer, announced it will not go on. It's the first time the Ohio State Fair has been canceled since World War II. This week, interim Ohio Department of Health Director Lance Himes signed an order to allow county fairs to go on with limitations. But many of them have already called off their fairs, which means a summer of lost tax revenue in counties throughout the state. Jo Ingles, Statehouse News Bureau.